I think it's safe to say anyone listening to this is familiar with the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
And if you are, there's no shortage of, how should I put it, people promising to revolutionize your business with the next big thing.
Oh, absolutely. The next big thing.
And I'm sure a lot of you listening right now are thinking the same thing. How often does that really actually deliver?
Yeah, that's a really good point because it can often feel like you're just chasing your tail, chasing the next shiny new thing.
Right.
And you never quite get to actually implementing things and seeing those results, right?
It's so true. And, it gets us thinking, maybe instead of constantly looking for that new thing,
Yeah.
maybe, just maybe, the tools we need are already there. And that's what we're diving into today. We're lucky enough to be joined by, well, he doesn't need much of an introduction, but our expert today is going to help us unpack the insights of Riccardo Giacometti.
Oh, fantastic. Love this guy.
If you haven't heard of him, don't worry. We'll get into his incredible background in a bit.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience to draw on, that's for sure.
But what we're really here to discuss is this idea that, and this is something Giacometti talks about a lot, that so many hotels, maybe even yours listening right now, are practically drowning in technology.
It's true.
But are we really using it to its full potential?
That's the question, isn't it? Because what he argues, and I think it's such a powerful analogy, he says it's like having this beautifully crafted chef's knife
Okay.
and using it just to butter your toast in the morning. You're really missing out on what that tool can do.
They can do.
The problem isn't the knife.
Right.
It's the technique.
And I think that's such a good point for anyone listening, no matter what your role is at your hotel.
Yeah.
Because we've all got those tools, those software programs, those platforms that we use every day.
Yep.
But are we just using them for the most basic functions? Are we really getting everything out of them? Could be.
And it might be your property management system
Yeah.
that you're not using to its full potential.
Right.
Or maybe it's, gosh, I don't know, your CRM, your customer relationship management software, or even something as simple as, exactly, you hit the nail on the head, Excel, something we're all familiar with. But Giacometti makes this point. Even those basic tools, like Word and Excel, when you combine them with the power of AI,
Oh, here we go.
things get interesting.
I was just about to say, AI has to be a part of this conversation.
It has to be, because it's not about replacing those tools, it's about augmenting them.
Right.
And he gives this great example of hotels using ChatGPT.
Which everyone's talking about ChatGPT these days.
Oh, it's everywhere, and for good reason. But he talks about hotels using it, just think about this, uploading their staff manuals into ChatGPT.
Okay. So
It's like creating an instant knowledge base,
Yeah.
right? So your employees can get answers immediately without having to hunt down a manager or flip through pages and pages.
That's amazing. Talk about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. You said it. Why reinvent the wheel when you can supercharge what you've already got?
It's all about understanding the full potential.
Right, of what's already at your fingertips.
Love it. Okay, so we've got these basic tools we can be using better. We've got AI entering the mix. What else?
Well, it's not just about internal processes. He's got a case study, really interesting one, about a hotel using AI to analyze their invoices from suppliers.
Oh, interesting.
And what they found was the AI could actually flag these unusual price hikes, things that might slip through the cracks.
Oh, wow. So it's like having an extra set of eyes on those things.
Exactly. And they saw immediate cost savings just from implementing that.
See, this is what I love about what we're talking about. It's practical, it's actionable.
Absolutely. And it kind of challenges that fear some people have that AI is going to come in and, take everyone's jobs.
Right.
Because in this case, it's about giving your team, whether it's finance or the front desk or even yourself, it's about giving them an intelligent assistant.
An extra team member, you could say.
Exactly.
I like that. And this actually leads perfectly into another thing I wanted to make sure we touched on. This idea of, and Giacometti talks about this, intelligent laziness.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
We've got to unpack that phrase, but first, to really understand where he's coming from, it helps to know a little bit more about the man himself.
Absolutely. His background is fascinating.
So let's rewind a bit and take a look at this incredible career he's had, because this isn't just theory he's throwing around. This is coming from decades of experience. Giacometti, he's not just some, tech enthusiast who's read a couple articles.
No, not at all.
This is a guy who's lived and breathed hospitality for decades.
Oh, yeah. When you read his stuff, when you hear him speak, you can just tell.
You can just tell.
He gets it.
Yeah, he's been there.
He's been in the trenches.
He has. And you know what? His LinkedIn profile, it's impressive. Talk about a highlight reel.
Oh yeah, it's amazing the places he's worked.
Over 30 years in the industry, we're talking about managing those big, iconic hotels.
The kind of places most of us just dream of stepping foot in, let alone running.
Right. And then on top of that, he's got experience with those smaller, more boutique hotels, too.
Which, let's be honest, those can be even more demanding in their own way.
Totally, totally. And what I think is so important for our listeners to understand,
Yeah.
it's not like he just did one thing at these
Yeah.
places, you know?
He wasn't just the guy who, like, comes in to fix the wifey.
Exactly. This isn't just a tech guy. He's worked across operations, finance, guest experience.
He's seen it all.
He has. He understands the whole picture.
Which is why when this guy starts talking about AI and data,
Listen up.
exactly, you've
Well-
got to pay attention because this isn't coming from some tech bro in Silicon Valley.
This is coming from someone who knows what it's actually like to run a hotel, to deal with guests, to manage a team.
Week after week, year after year, for decades.
It's true. It's true. And that's what makes his take on all of this so refreshing, because he's not afraid to get specific.
So he gets into the weeds.
Yeah, he does. And he gives these really practical examples, like this one about optimizing staff scheduling,
Which anyone listening who has ever had to manage a team, you know how tough it can be.
especially right now.
Especially right now, with the way the labor market is.
It's a nightmare.
So when he talks about using AI to analyze all this historical staffing data, and in one case, this hotel was able to cut overtime by 25%.
25? Are you kidding me?
It's huge, but it's not just about the numbers, it's about your staff.
Happier staff, better service, happier guests.
It's a win-win.
It is. It is. And it all goes back to that idea of like, don't ditch what you have, just make it better.
Find those areas where AI can enhance what you're already doing.
Exactly. And he's got this other example. It's a little out there, but it's so Giacometti.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It involves using AI to analyze, wait for it, food waste.
Food waste. What's in the trash cans?
Pretty much. He talks about how most of us, we just see trash, right? But there's actually valuable data in there.
Okay, so it's like what? Finding patterns, figuring out where you're over-ordering or...
Exactly, that kind of thing.
Right.
And the example he gives, this hotel used AI to analyze their food waste, and they ended up saving over 55,000 euro a year.
Get out of here. Just from looking at their trash.
I know, right? It's crazy, but it also shows how AI can help with, those bigger picture things.
Sustainability.
Exactly. It's not just about the bottom line. It's about being a more responsible business.
I love that.
Me too, me too. And speaking of being smart, another area where Giacometti sees AI really making a difference is in how we interact with guests. So we're talking about AI and guests, and I think the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people...
Robots, right.
Yeah, robots, those like... What are they called? Those robot butlers some hotels have?
Oh, yeah, the ones that bring you toothpaste.
Yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, that stuff's cool, but...
It's not really what we're talking about.
Not quite, no. What Giacometti's really getting at is how can AI make the guest experience better without, losing that human touch?
Because at the end of the day, that's what hospitality is all about, right?
Exactly. It's about connection. It's about feeling welcome.
And you don't get that from a robot.
You don't. So how does AI fit in? Well, Giacometti gives this example. He talks about using AI chatbots.
Okay, I was just thinking about those.
Right. But hear me out. It's not about replacing your team with chatbots. It's about strategically using them.
Okay, so it's like for those basic things.
Exactly. Think about all those questions your front desk staff get every day.
Wifey password, what time's breakfast?
Things that, honestly, a chatbot could handle just as easily.
And that frees up your staff to actually, have real conversations with guests.
Bingo. They can focus on those higher level needs, those personalized recommendations.
The things that really elevate the experience.
And make people want to come back.
It all comes back to that, doesn't it?
It always does. And, this ties back to something we touched on earlier, that whole intelligent laziness thing.
Oh, yeah, let's dig into that because it sounds a bit strange on the surface.
It does.
Huh.
Especially in hospitality. We're all about hard work, long hours, going above and beyond.
Burnout is practically a badge of honor.
Sadly, it's true, but Giacometti, he challenges that.
Which, good for him. Someone had to say it.
He did. And his point is, are we really being smart about how we're working?
Okay, I think I'm starting to see where he's going with this.
Because if you think about it, we get so caught up in these tasks, these things we could automate, we end up exhausting ourselves.
And then you're no good to anyone, your guests, your team, even yourself.
Exactly. So this egoistic approach, and I know that word sounds bad, but it's not what you think.
It's not about being selfish.
No, it's about recognizing that when you, the leader, when you're taking care of yourself, you're more present.
You've got more energy to give to your team, to your guests.
Exactly. So instead of like burning the midnight oil trying to figure out the staff schedule, you let an AI program do it.
Which, let's be honest, it can probably do it better than us anyway.
Probably. And then you're free. You can have that breakfast meeting with a potential client. You can be fully present for your team.
I love that. It's about working smarter, not just harder, and using that extra time to really focus on what matters.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And, Giacometti, he puts it so well. He says, and I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but he says the future belongs to the people who know how to use machines in a meaningful way.
It's such a powerful thought because it's not about replacing humans. It's about that partnership, that synergy.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive, but more importantly, it's a starting point for all of you listening.
A call to action.
Exactly. So we'll leave you with this. What's one thing, just one thing you could offload today? What could you hand over to AI, to technology, to free yourself up?
To be more present, more creative, more impactful.
Think about it, give it a try, and let us know what you discover.